What's going on, guys? Here for another episode of Triangle Diagnostics. Today we're working on a pretty cherry 2011 Buick Regal. It's got the 2.4 Ecotec engine in it. Customers complain it's a check engine light. Nothing too special. They're not complaining about any drivability stuff or anything like that. So that being said, I want to go straight to the scan tool, see what kind of trouble codes we got, and then we'll go from there. Alright guys, so I've already got the vehicle identified. As I said before, it's a 2011 Buick Regal. I'm in the engine sub-menu, so I'm just going to go ahead and go to codes and display codes, and we're going to see what we have. So as we can see, we have this P0010 intake cam solenoid control circuit. I see these a lot, guys. This is a pretty common issue on these 2.4 Ecotec engines. Basically what this is it's just a circuit fault code error pertaining to the variable valve timing solenoids. So right off the bat, kind of what I want to do with this is I want to look at some applicable variable valve timing data and determine if this is something that's happening right now or something that's potentially intermittent. So I'm just going to go back and I'm going to go to the data display, and I'm looking for this right here, this cam actuator data. So I've already got some relevant data pulled up here, guys. These are the 4 PIDs that I selected. These bottom 2 PIDs, exhaust cam angle and intake cam angle, these are going to be the actual current cam angles pertaining to these. As we can see, our current intake cam angle is floating right around 16 degrees. Our exhaust cam angle is floating right around 5. If we look at these top numbers, the desired numbers, we can see that they pretty accurately match those. One thing we can notice about this intake cam angle, the one we had the fault code for, is we can see that it's kind of bouncing around a little bit. Let's just keep that in mind. The first thing I want to do is I want to see if these are responding to the PCM's commanded states. So I want to see if, when the PCM commands these solenoids to do something, I want to see if they react, and we'll know that by our actual values down here. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to raise the engine RPM up a little bit, and we're going to see if these actual exhaust cam angles and intake cam angles follow and closely match the desired up here. So I'm just going to do that. Just raising this RPM up a little bit. We can see our desired intake cam angle went up to 24. Our actual intake cam angle is hovering pretty close to that, 23, 24. We can see pretty much the same thing happening over here on the exhaust side. So at least initially it looks like this thing is actually responding to these commands. So not really seeing too much of an issue there. Just letting back off the throttle. As we can see, we're back down to this kind of baseline number. Desired exhaust 5 degrees, desired intake 16 degrees, and both of our actual numbers pretty much closely match that. So seeing this, guys, definitely kind of looks like it may be something intermittent. I'm not sure. I've seen these solenoids throw these trouble codes before, and the engine computer can still make adjustments to timing, even though the solenoid's technically bad and it's flagging a trouble code. So that may be the case on this one. Not too sure yet. I think our next step is just going to be to go out to the car, take a look at these solenoids, see what we're working with. So yeah, let's do that. All right, guys, this is the car we're working with. As you can see, I already had this engine cover off. And if we look on the top of this valve cover, these are our guys right here. These are our 2 intake and exhaust camshaft solenoids. The engine computer is going to energize and de-energize these in order to move the camshaft actuators, which are going to be attached to the cam gear inside of this valve cover. Again, the fault we're dealing with, exhaust cam circuit fault for this solenoid here. This is going to be our exhaust solenoid here on the exhaust manifold side of this. This other one's going to be the intake solenoid. As we can see, that's on the intake side of this. So some things I can tell you about these solenoids off the top of my head. Both of these wires go back to the engine computer. I know for a fact from testing these in the past that they are power side switched and they are duty cycled. They are not going to be duty cycled all the time. They're just going to be duty cycled periodically, and obviously the engine computer is controlling them directly. So a couple different ways we can attack this, guys. We can check for control at these solenoids. We can do a couple of other things. One thing I will mention is I've had great success in the past using an ohm meter to test these. Generally what I see resistance wise is 10 to 13 ohms. But just to get a better feel for how this system works, I think what we're going to do first is we're going to actually use a lab scope, and we're going to check these solenoids. So that's coming up next. Alright guys, this is the basic setup here that we're going to use to check this intake cam solenoid. I just have a T-pin going to the positive side control wire in this solenoid here. If we look at this solenoid, we see two wires coming off of it. The one we're currently hooked into is what appears to be a pink with maybe an orange tracer. And the one to the left of that is a black with an orange tracer. This black with an orange tracer is basically the solenoid ground. And this pink with the orange tracer is going to be the power feed to this solenoid. We take a look here on the Vantage. We currently have a duty cycle signal present on this solenoid on the power side right here. So what I'm going to do with this test, as you can see, I also have the Varus here, and it's pretty bright outside, guys, so I understand it's a little tough to show you this. But I'm going to use the Varus to perform a functional test of this system, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to command a certain angle of this intake cam actuator, and we're going to see a change in this duty cycle signal here. So that's all I'm going to do, guys. And I realize it's pretty tough to see this. Maybe I can get this in a better spot. Maybe that's a little better for you guys. But I'm going to get you guys set up on a tripod, and then I'm going to run this test, and I'm going to keep you guys focused on this current duty cycle number we're seeing here. As you can see, this is basically just a 0 to 14 volt, very, very quick on-off signal. Maybe what I'll do is I'll get you guys focused in on the lab scope, and that'll kind of show you this signal a little bit better. So I'm going to get that set up and then show you guys. So here's the signal on a lab scope, guys. I'm currently on a 200 millisecond screen. You can kind of see how fast this signal really is. It's pretty quick. But anyways, I'm going to get you guys set up on a tripod, and then we're going to use that functional test to manually change this duty cycle and verify computer control of this cam solenoid. Alright guys, so this is our control on a lab scope. We're still on that 200 millisecond screen. All I'm using to do this test is just a functional test to the Varus. And what it's going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to command this intake valve at different percentages. What we're focused on is here. I'm going to click on test. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to turn this solenoid completely off. As we can see, taking a look at our Vantage here, we currently do not have any power side control to this solenoid. What I'm now going to do is I'm just going to ramp this up. This 10-degree number should be fine. And if we look back on the Vantage, we can confirm that we do have power side control there. So the last thing we really need to worry about here as far as the wiring to the solenoid goes is this ground side. So in order to confirm that, I'm just going to move my T-pin over. And then we're going to focus on this live number. As we can see, we're right around 10 millivolts. So that's a good ground, guys. We've confirmed that we have power side control of this. So at least right now, we do not have any circuit faults. Now what I want to show you guys, my favorite method of testing these solenoids, and what I found to be pretty reliable and condemning one. And that's going to be a resistance check through the solenoids. So what we'll do is, we'll take a resistance measurement of this intake one first. This is the one we're pretty sure is bad. And then we'll do one on the exhaust valve. We'll compare the resistance values, and I'll show you guys, what we come up with there. So let me get that all set up for you. All right, guys. So the resistance check on the solenoid. All I'm doing is I'm just taking a set of meter leads here, and I'm just going across the contacts of the solenoid itself. So I'm going to start with the intake camshaft solenoid. This is the one we had the trouble code for. I'm just going terminal to terminal, and I'm seeing what we have. So it looks like we have this number stabilized around 60,000 ohms. Guys, I can already tell you that's bad. It's going up to 100,000 as I'm flexing these pins. I mean, this is way out of spec, guys. As I've said before, 10 to 13 ohms is generally what I see on these. So I'm just going to go over to our exhaust solenoid. This is the one we did not have the trouble code for. Let this meter auto range. Taking a little bit of time here. Looks like it's saying 0.0 ohms. That's no way that's the case, guys. That would be shorted. You know, we would definitely have a trouble code for that. That's definitely what it's saying though, huh? It's definitely saying 0 ohms. Let me make sure I'm not touching these pins together inside of here. Make sure I'm getting a good connection. This is pretty tough to do. These connectors are pretty small. Looks like we're auto ranging again. Yeah, it's definitely giving us this 0 ohm measurement, guys. Really, that would be, you know, like a shorted solenoid. You know, I'm finding that pretty doubtful, based off the fact that we didn't have any solenoid circuit trouble codes for this exhaust side. It was just for the intake. Though here's what I'll tell you guys: whenever I see one of these bad on a car, I recommend both, and that's simply because there's such a high failure item on these. I'm trying to get another measurement of this solenoid here, guys. It's pretty tough. Yeah, so I feel like I'm on that pretty well, and we're definitely around the 0 ohm number, which is pretty surprising. I almost just want to recalibrate this. I think I'm going to do that. Just going to go back into ohms here. Didn't let us recalibrate that. Let me see here. Let me go all the way back out. Let's go multimeter, digital multimeter. I'm going to go ohms. Yeah, it's still not letting us do it. Let's see. A little bit unfamiliar with the tool here, guys. It looks like it's not really giving me an option to re-zero these. Let me redo our ohms measurement on this intake one, the one we had excessive resistance on before. Yeah, it looks like we're around 98,000 ohms, guys. That's about what we had before. Just one more time, I'm going to go back to this exhaust. Hopefully you guys can see this. I realize it's pretty bright outside. Oh, there we go. So there we go. About 11.3 ohms on here, guys. I'm not sure what was going on with our measurements before. I mean, maybe I wasn't making good contact or something like that. And hopefully you guys saw that on the camera. Let me get you guys focused on exactly what I was doing here, just so you have a little bit better of an idea. There you go. So I realize you guys aren't going to be able to see the Vantage as well, but all I was doing is I was just taking these leads and I was going across the terminals of these solenoids like this. Currently testing the intake solenoid. This is our bad one here, guys. And I can't even really see that number. Hopefully you guys can make it out. You know, it's so bright out here. But for this solenoid up here, we had a number about 100,000 ohms. You know, that's way bad, guys. That's high resistance, no doubt. This rear solenoid back here, this exhaust solenoid, we had about 13 ohms, 10 to 13. That's generally what I see on these. So you know, really the call for this car is going to be to replace both of these solenoids. And the type of failure we're looking at here is high resistance in this intake one. This is the one we had the trouble code for. Every time I've seen these in the past, guys, these are so failure prone that it's always a good idea to recommend both of them. So that's what the recommendation on this one's going to be. So yeah, I mean, hopefully that cleared some of this up for you guys. You know, it's kind of a quick and dirty diag. Pretty simple, pretty easy. We went through a few things, you know, how to move these camshafts using the scan tool, functional tests, how to verify control of the solenoid, how to verify its ground. As I said before, there's a 2-wire solenoid. Both wires go to the engine computer and it's power side switched. We verified both of those controls on our suspected faulty solenoid, and they were good. We measured resistance to the solenoid, found that it was high. As I said, guys, I think the spec for these is about 13 ohms. Generally what I see is about 10 to 13 ohms on these. So confirmed high resistance solenoid, that's the cause of this trouble code. And the recommendation, as I said before, is going to be to replace both of them. So that's pretty much it, guys. You know, thanks for sticking around. This is a pretty quick one, pretty easy one. You know, we were battling the sun a little bit, but you know, we got through it. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching.